Hi, I'm Larry Richardson, your step-by-step chef. In this episode, we're going to make a very delicious meal out of chicken that is stuffed with garlic and herbs. Now, a lot of people are afraid to roast a whole chicken, so that's why I'm going to show you step-by-step how to get it done. And man, is it rewarding. So come on, let's cook. Okay, so here's the ingredients we need for our garlic and herb roasted chicken. First of all, we need a roaster chicken. Now this chicken is almost 7 pounds. They tend to range between 5 to 7, maybe 7.5 pounds. But this is a perfect size for this recipe. We're also going to use some canola spray, a tablespoon of salt, 3 tablespoons of melted butter, half a head of garlic, 2 tablespoons of minced oregano, 2 tablespoons of minced basil, a tablespoon of minced rosemary, and 2 tablespoons of minced parsley. Now, if you cannot get fresh herbs where you are, which it certainly does happen certain times of year, then you're certainly welcome to use a tablespoon of dried Italian seasonings. Now, it won't quite taste as fresh, but you'll get the idea, and it will still make a very tasty chicken. So come on, let's put this together. Now the first thing you want to do right now is preheat your oven at 375 with the rack to the halfway point or slightly under. This will give the chicken a good chance to cook all the way through and all the way around. You definitely don't want the rack at the top position, or when the chicken fat starts to splatter, it will start to burn in your oven and you're going to have a real smoky situation on your hands. After that, what you want to do is take the chicken out of its packaging and do this in the sink, in a plastic bag in the sink. Take the chicken out of its packaging and reach inside the cavity and see if they put the neck and giblets in there. Usually they do. So take those out and discard them. Then take the chicken and just rinse it all around with fresh water. And rinse inside this cavity too. And just make sure it's nice, good, and clean. And then pat it down with paper towels. And then the chicken will be ready for us to add the garlic and herbs to. So now I'm going to show you how to put those together. And now I've put our butter in this small saucepan. I'm going to add a half tablespoon of salt to it. There we go. And then I'm going to take our garlic. We're going to use half this head of garlic, and I'm going to crush that into the butter. Now, if you don't have a garlic crusher, then you can certainly finely mince the garlic. I just find that the crushing version really brings out a lot of the flavor. So here's our crusher. Does a great job of separating the garlic wrapper from the inside. So you get a nice crushed garlic. That smells delicious. Now I always tell people if you like garlic, use tons of it. You can even use more than I'm doing right here. If you don't like garlic, you can certainly skip it altogether, and you can just make an herb roasted chicken. And there we go, there's our crushed garlic. And then all I'm going to do with the different herbs is just mince them. I mean, if you have a food processor, you can certainly chop them finer, but this mincing works just fine. So that's our oregano. Here comes our rosemary. There we go. And our basil. I can tell you, the herbs and the garlic, I almost just want to melt that butter and just eat it with a spoon. It is yummy. basil. And here comes our parsley. Okay, and that's all there is to it, to the chopping portion of this dish. I'm going to meet you over at the stove. Now I just put the stove on just under medium heat, and what I'm going to do is melt the butter with the herbs, garlic, and salt. Get them all melted together and really just slightly sauteed. I don't want to overcook them, but what I'm trying to do is make sure that the ingredients are very uniformly mixed together. You know, I don't want to end up with a lot of parsley in one area, a lot of garlic in another. I want them to have a nice blend before I put them on the chicken. What I absolutely do not want to do is let this reach the point where it's boiling in any way. I don't want to caramelize the butter and brown the garlic. So we're just giving this a nice melt. And once the butter's melted, we're going to make sure that these herbs and the garlic and the salt are stirred in quite well. And there we go. So again, my point is to blend the ingredients, not to cook them. So this is ready to go in the chicken. Now in this dish, what we're going to do is take our garlic and herb mixture. We're going to put it between the skin and this breast meat. Now in these roasters, often the breast meat is the most flavorful part. That's what they're grown for. The drumsticks tend to be a little bit on the kind of gamey side, and they can be very tendony, but these are really grown for this breast meat. So that's why I really don't dwell too much on the drumsticks or the wings. And what you can see here too is the chicken that I bought came with one of these automatic thermometers that will pop out when the chicken is done. Really what you want to do is average out, if you have your oven preheated at 375, average out that the chicken will need 25 minutes per pound to cook all the way through. If this pops out, I know it's done. The other thing is, if you have a meat thermometer, you just want to stick it in the breast meat when you think the time is up, and if it's at 165 degrees, then you can consider the chicken done. And now what I'm going to do is just spoon our garlic and herb mix right under here. And just evenly distribute it. There we go. And I'll do it on the other side. Wow, does this smell good? You know, I'd sneak a spoonful if it wasn't dangerous to do something like that with raw chicken. When you're working with raw chicken, you have to make sure that you clean every surface it comes into contact with, including your hands, really well after you're done. You don't want to have any issues with salmonella at all when you're dealing with chicken. Safe food handling is very important. And then what I do is I just take a little bit of the remainder and I grease the outside of the chicken with it. And just give it a good coating. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is put this in the oven and, timed out to about 2 to 2.5 hours. I would say at 2 hours, I'm going to check to see if this thermometer has popped out or not. If it has popped out, what I'm going to do is take the foil that I'm going to cover this with, I'm going to take the foil off and let the outside of this brown some. So after 2 hours, I'm going to take a look. If it's popped, I'm going to let the skin brown for about another 15 minutes. Now the reason I do like to cover it with foil is that chicken and butter can tend to be very splattery, and you get a lot of smoke in your oven if you don't give it at least a little bit of a foil covering. Let me show you what that looks like. There we go. I'm just pinning the edges down. It doesn't have to be airtight, the kind of cooking we're doing. What I'm really trying to do is just keep that splattering down. Now I'm going to put it in the oven. And just over 2 hours later, here you have it. Delicious roasted garlic and herb chicken. Man, if you could smell my house, it smells delicious. The aroma just makes you drool and you want to eat everything in sight. Which is perfect. That's what we were shooting for. So congratulations, look at what you just did. You just made a delicious roasted chicken with garlic and herbs. If you want a printable version of this recipe, please go to my website, stepbystepchef.com. Look up this chicken and you will find a recipe that can be printed. You will also find dozens and dozens of recipes and videos done the step-by-step way for breakfasts, lunches, and dinners. So I am Larry Richardson, I am your step-by-step chef, and I'll see you in the next episode.